Eddie really did not get along.
In real life?
In real life.
I did not know this.
Yeah. Like
okay.
we didn't get. But every single week before taping, we'd come together, we'd put our hands together, we'd bow, and we'd pray before we go out.
I mean, you talked about the whole Malcolm and Eddie thing. Like, what do you think was some of the most racist things that you've dealt with being in Hollywood?
Hollywood, man.
Just Hollywood in general?
Yes.
Right after Malcolm-Jamal Warner's sudden passing, the way Hollywood acted, or didn't act, had people fuming. Fans were heartbroken, but Eddie Griffin, he was furious. He called out the whole industry for going quiet, like Malcolm never even mattered. No real tributes, no front-page headlines, barely a whisper, just silence.
Just wanted to remind you, as I remind myself, that no matter what's going on, there's always a reason to smile.
And Eddie's not buying that it was a mistake. He says they did it on purpose. Now the question is screaming louder than ever. Did Hollywood purposely erase Malcolm's legacy? Or is this just how they treat black legends when they're gone? See, this hit different for Eddie. He didn't just lose a friend, he lost a brother in the struggle. His grief came out as rage because this wasn't just about someone passing away. It was about someone being erased in real time. Malcolm and Eddie go way back. Two black men navigating a system that was never built for them. Two men who spoke truth in an industry that wanted them silent. While others played it safe, they called out racism for what it was, loud and clear. And here's the thing.
All right, you see the money they'll put behind an unknown white talent just starting out, all right? When we all came out of it, this goes from Martin's show to me and Malcolm's show.
Malcolm had been calling out the media for years. He knew how the game was played. After all those years in Hollywood, he'd seen behind the curtain. And one of his biggest reality checks came after The Cosby Show. When he moved on to Malcolm and Eddie in the late 90s, he expected more of the same. Strong, uplifting stories of black life. But instead, he slammed headfirst into an ugly truth. Showing black folks with dignity wasn't the norm. It was the exception. Malcolm was shocked. All that time on The Cosby Show, he thought that's just how things worked. Strong black roles, no degrading scripts. But what he didn't realize back then was that Bill Cosby had something most black actors never got: power.
Tired of running for shade? And aren't you tired of being hustled and played? And aren't we all tired of crying about how hard it is to be black in America, even if it looks like we've got it made?
When Malcolm joined UPN, he saw how things really operated. The network didn't want positivity, they wanted stereotypes. They wanted safe, watered-down, cartoonish versions of black life. And when Malcolm pushed back, he got resistance from every direction. Writers, producers, execs, all of them stuck in that old-school mindset. That's when the light bulb went off. Cosby didn't just star in the show, he controlled it.
You know, we were at odds. What we both understood is we get to 100 episodes, we're going to have a sweet syndication deal. Ultimately, they cut us at 88. Because they were tired. They were tired of me fighting with the writers, and then they were tired of Eddie's shenanigans.
He had rare creative control, the kind that protected his cast from harmful portrayals. Without that power, black actors were left to play whatever the network threw at them, no matter how damaging it was to their careers, their families, or their communities. And that realization changed everything for Malcolm forever. Malcolm and Eddie was shut down after 88 episodes, just 12 short of the magic 100 needed for syndication. That's long-term cash they were robbed of on purpose. This wasn't about low ratings. Nope, the network was tired of them pushing back.
Business clean. Michael Jackson, little white.
Michael Jordan?
Michael Jordan gambled.
Right, and then his dad got killed. And
You understand?
They try to tie that.
You're not going to die clean.
Tired of them demanding real representation instead of lazy, harmful stereotypes. Malcolm saw it clear as day. Speak up for your people, and they'll snatch that financial future right out your hands. By 2016, he couldn't ignore what TV had turned into. Reality shows had taken over.
I had watched Mr. Cosby for
8 years on that show really ride the writers, because like the stuff that you didn't see on that show wasn't because the writers weren't writing it. It was because Mr. Cosby kept saying, no, this is not the show that we're doing. This is not what this show is.
So he was correcting it.
And just unfortunately with Malcolm and Eddie, it wasn't my vision. It wasn't my show.
But it was your
And not the uplifting kind. These shows made big bucks off black folks screaming, fighting, being messy. It was drama for profit, and the networks ate it up. Meanwhile, stories about real black families, smart, loving, complex, got tossed to the side. Nobody wanted to invest in them. Why? Because it was cheaper and easier to pump out the mess. For Malcolm, this wasn't just about storytelling. It was economic sabotage. They were cashing in on stereotypes, all while pushing black creatives further out the door. Eddie Griffin saw the game too, and unlike Malcolm, he didn't sugarcoat a single word. Back in their UPN days, they were a united front. Malcolm played it smooth with carefully worded interviews. But Eddie? He was on fire, calling out how the industry targets successful black men, especially the ones who don't play the game.
Well, reality television, first of all, has changed the financial face of television. Because for the money you'd spend on a scripted show, and it's less expensive, it's less hassle. You don't have to deal with unions, you don't have to deal with writers. So that has really hurt. That's hurt the integrity of the business.
Eddie believed it was never just bad luck. Every time a black man made it too far, too fast, here comes the scandal. Every time, it was a warning, don't step out of line. And Eddie wasn't just defending Bill Cosby from allegations. He was pointing to a bigger setup. To him, it was a cycle. Build a legacy, then watch it get torn down. Michael Jordan? As soon as he hit icon status, headlines about gambling exploded. His father's murder raised questions that never really got answered. Cosby, years of philanthropy, father figure status, and boom, legacy shattered. To Eddie, the message was loud. Doesn't matter how high you climb, if you're black, they'll find a way to drag you down. And Eddie didn't just blame the scandals. He blamed the way the media covered them. Black men's mistakes get blown up and tied to the whole race. But when a white man slips, suddenly it's just one guy's bad choices. That double standard, it's not random, it's a tactic. Paint black men as a threat.
It's a systematic effort to destroy every black male entertainer's image. They want us all to have an actress by name. Cole. Nobody leaves this business clean. Michael.
Use one person's downfall to label the whole community, and it works again and again. So when Malcolm passed, Eddie immediately questioned it. While other celebs gave short tributes or stayed quiet, Eddie's tone was different. Suspicious, sharp, and he wasn't the only one. A lot of folks felt the timing was too perfect. Right after Malcolm had started going public with bold truths about Hollywood. Right when he announced he was writing a tell-all memoir, exposing the real power players, dropping names. And suddenly, he's gone. Eddie and Malcolm weren't conspiracy heads. They were witnesses. And the pattern they saw, too clear to ignore. Look at Chadwick Boseman. He wasn't just acting. He was speaking truth. His interviews in 2019 and 2020 weren't safe or watered down. He called out Hollywood's whitewashed stories and demanded better. And just as his message got sharper, just as he stepped into full activist mode, he was gone. Same with Nipsey Hussle. His death wasn't just tragic, it was suspicious. The man was building up his community, pushing for peace, setting up generational wealth.
Jackson,
Michael Jordan?
Michael Jordan gambled.
Right, and then his dad got killed. And
You understand?
They tried to tie that.
You're not going to die clean.
He had a meeting lined up with LAPD to discuss gang reform. But before that meeting could happen, he was gunned down just days before. That timeline ain't a coincidence. Too many truth tellers get taken out right before something major shifts. What Nipsey Hussle was doing scared people in power. His last interviews in early 2019 were all about ownership, building wealth for future generations, and breaking free from white-controlled systems. He was building something bigger than music. He was building freedom. And just like that, he was gone, murdered in his own parking lot. Same playbook, different name. Back in 2005, Dave Chappelle walked away from a $50 million deal because he realized the industry was trying to twist his message and own his voice. He bounced, and when he came back, the media tried to tear him apart piece by piece. Every time he talked too raw about how the game really worked, they tried to cancel him. The message was clear: speak too much truth and you pay the price. But Malcolm's situation, that one hit different, because with him, you can trace every single warning sign. Early 2024, he's doing chill interviews, talking about his past work and family life. By summer, he starts throwing sharper jabs at how Hollywood treats black actors.
In the paper, if a black man does something, it says, John Jones, blacklist, said black, black, black. Now, if a white man does it, it isn't white man Jones, it's just a man. But if a black man does it, then any white bigot can point his finger and say, see that? There they go again. Well, that isn't right.
Come fall, his podcast turns into a full-on education. He's breaking down media manipulation and calling out cultural theft by name. Then his last Instagram post drops. He talks about captors. He says black folks are being hustled and played. 2 days later, just 48 hours, he's gone, dead in Costa Rica. That wasn't random, that was too exact. What made Malcolm-Jamal Warner a real threat? It wasn't just what he said, it was the fact that people were finally listening. He wasn't just another actor. He had 40 years of credibility. People trusted him. People respected him. From his days as Theo Huxtable on The Cosby Show, he had always been quietly pushing back. Not loud, not flashy, but smart. And now, looking back, you can see it. He was planting seeds all along. People used to criticize The Cosby Show for not being black enough, but Malcolm knew better.
My dad was really instrumental in giving me a sense of identity. And a sense of peace.
Look, my dad named me after Malcolm X and Amaya. She would still be the person that I would want to raise
a child with. Co-parent with.
Mm-hmm. And my parents got divorced. My parents were separated since I was 3. They got divorced.
About 6th grade, I had a book called The Poems on the Life and Death of Malcolm X. And it was my favorite.
The real power of the Huxtables was that they didn't have to fit a stereotype. They weren't criminals. They weren't broken. They were just a loving, educated black family, normal as can be, and that was revolutionary. They spoke different languages. They were into jazz and art. They loved each other. That kind of portrayal pushed back against both racist lies and the pressure on black folks to perform struggle just to be seen as real. And Malcolm had been thinking about this stuff since he was a kid. His father, Robert Warner, named him after Malcolm X and Ahmad Jamal. At just 6 years old, Malcolm was reading about black leaders, Langston Hughes, Mary McLeod Bethune, Richard Wright, names his white classmates couldn't even pronounce. By the time he was 10, he was already questioning the stories schools told about black history because he knew better. His dad made sure of it. This wasn't just book knowledge, it was survival training. That early education gave Malcolm purpose. It taught him that mainstream media didn't just ignore black stories, they twisted them.
The title is combating the narrative of black life, black culture that the media focuses on.
And that meant he had a responsibility to use his platform to set the record straight. But the reason Malcolm didn't crash like other child stars, that was all thanks to his mom, Pamela Warner. While other young celebs were losing themselves in fame, Pamela kept him grounded. She taught him to think long-term, stay independent, and never sell out for a check. That foundation kept him solid, even when the industry started pressuring him to play dumb roles or feed into toxic images. Malcolm never gave in, and that's exactly what made him dangerous. Malcolm didn't fall into the same traps that took down so many other child stars. No addiction spirals, no courtroom drama, no public meltdowns. He kept his head on straight, and that's because he refused to lose himself in the system. As he grew, Malcolm didn't just keep acting, he evolved. He became a full-blown artist and truth teller, He even won a Grammy with Robert Glasper for their spoken word piece, Jesus, Children of America, which tackled the pain of the Sandy Hook tragedy with raw honesty and care. Then came his own album, Hiding in Plain View, where he didn't hold back. He went deep, talking about racism, identity, and how black communities sometimes unknowingly play into the same stereotypes, holding them back. One line from his piece, Black Fist, Beautiful, said it all. We used to fight for our right for freedom, but now we fight for the right to be dumb for free. That wasn't just poetry, that was a slap in the face, a wake-up call.
They got money offering. First to kill this is $100 million to your favorite family.
But behind the art, there was real pain. Malcolm's life had its heartbreaks. One of the most devastating, losing his girlfriend, Michelle Thomas, the same Michelle who played Justine on The Cosby Show. She passed from cancer at just 30. Malcolm stayed by her side until the very end. Her mother said he climbed into bed and held her as she took her last breath. Later, he also had a public breakup with actress Regina King. After that, he pulled back from the spotlight. He stayed private, stayed single for years, until finally marrying at 45 when he felt ready, on his terms. To Malcolm, art was never just about lights and cameras. It was about impact, it was education. He challenged people to really think about society, media, and even their own communities. He questioned how stereotypes get passed down, even by those being hurt by them. He was so intentional about how he spoke that he used to joke he had the respectability politics police watching over his work, making sure his message didn't get twisted like Cosby's did.
Title is combating the narrative of black life or black culture that the media focuses on.
That's how sharp and conscious he was. He didn't just throw shade, he made people think. He wasn't out here just pointing fingers. He was trying to wake folks up with grace and clarity. But the most disturbing part about his death? It wasn't just the drowning, it was the response that followed. Almost immediately after the news broke, something felt off. The narrative around his passing was locked down fast, too fast. And right before he died, Malcolm had made it crystal clear that he was working on a tell-all book. I think I've got the best job in the world, he said. There's a lot more to talk about. I'm working on my autobiography, and there are stories that need to be told. He wasn't hiding it. He wanted people to know what was coming. He was ready to spill. But after he passed, it's like everyone forgot he ever said it. Try searching for his old Not All Hood podcast episodes now. The raw ones, the ones where he really spoke his mind, suddenly aren't easy to find. Some got buried, moved to lower traffic platforms, and that chilling Instagram post where he called people captors, certain media outlets tried flipping it into some kind of mental health breakdown. But come on, that post wasn't random. It was political. It was pointed. What stands out the most is the silence around his book. Normally when a star passes, especially one with a tell-all project in the works, reporters dig deep. They ask about manuscripts, unfinished chapters, publishing plans. But this time, nothing. Not a single outlet followed up. Not one headline. Not one question for his family. Just crickets. And that's not normal. That book could have exposed the industry's dirtiest secrets, but instead, it got buried before it ever saw daylight. Eddie Griffin knew what was up. That's why his reaction hit different. While A-listers gave copy-paste condolences or stayed silent altogether, Eddie, who lived through the same system, gave a tribute with an edge of suspicion that a lot of folks in the black community felt too, because Eddie understood the signs, and this one didn't sit right. Malcolm spent his final months doing something that makes certain folks very uncomfortable. He was teaching people how to spot the game, how to recognize when they're being lied to, played, or flat out exploited. And when someone with 40 years inside Hollywood starts dropping real gems, that shakes the whole power structure. Malcolm-Jamal Warner spent his career expanding what real black representation could look like. But toward the end, he wasn't just reflecting, he was preparing us, getting folks ready for battles he knew were coming. Whether you believe there's more to his death or not, here's one fact nobody can deny. His warnings about culture theft, media control, and silencing truth tellers deserved way more attention while he was still here. So how do we honor him now? By listening, by paying attention to what he actually tried to tell us about how stories get stolen, how voices get muted, and how those who speak up often vanish before they can explain everything. Now that he's gone, Eddie Griffin is sounding the alarm, and this time it's hitting way different. Fans are zooming in on one moment that feels eerie now. Malcolm's final public appearance. Dressed head to toe in all black, he spoke about what it feels like to be heard, but never truly seen. Sound familiar? That same pain runs through almost every Eddie Griffin interview. Seen but not valued. Talented but not trusted. Some say it's a coincidence, others say it's a warning. Especially when you look at how Malcolm's tone changed recently. He started calling out racism in Hollywood directly, something he rarely did back during his Cosby Show days. But in the last few years, he went there. He called out the lies, the two-faced diversity pushes, and the way black actors get worked to death, then thrown away once they're no longer trendy. And that's when things get real suspicious. Malcolm wasn't sick, he wasn't spiraling, he was on vacation with his family, smiling, laughing, alive. Then out of nowhere, he's gone. Found dead in the water. And the media, quiet. Eddie Griffin's not buying it. And neither are a lot of people. Why did the autopsy take days to be released? Where's the footage? Where are the eyewitnesses? Why are the networks barely saying anything? Unless it's just to reduce Malcolm's legacy to Cosby Kid dies. Eddie made it plain. This isn't just about grief. It's about a pattern. This is how it always goes. Black legends erased, minimized, forgotten, and the ones who dare to speak up, they don't get peaceful goodbyes, they get silence or scandal. Eddie's been saying it for years. Black men in this country, especially the ones who fight back, either get erased or turned into warnings. And here's the wild part. Malcolm saw it coming. He knew what the system does to men like him. That's why in his final months, he went all in on mentoring the next generation, helping younger black artists take their voices back and refuse to be boxed into stereotypes. Looking back now, it's clear. Malcolm and Eddie weren't just friends, they were soldiers fighting a quiet war against Hollywood's polished racism, a system that claps when you're obedient and cuts you off when you break free. Eddie Griffin isn't just mourning his brother, he's exposing the machine that broke him. Thanks for watching, y'all. Drop your thoughts in the comments, hit that like button, subscribe for more real talk, and I'll catch you in the next one. 2 hands up.